Meeting in Another Universe by David Russo. Chapter 1. The Familiar Sky. The planetarium dome flickered to life, and the ceiling dissolved into stars. Ava leaned back in her seat, watching constellations bloom in the darkness. She came here when she needed to think, or rather, when she needed to stop thinking. Lately, the world outside felt blurred, as if reality itself were slightly off-center. She couldn't say why. A voice broke the hush beside her. Every time they start the show, I forget I'm sitting under a ceiling. She turned. A man sat one seat over, the faint glow of the projector washing his face in blue. He looked ordinary enough, brown hair, quiet eyes, but something about him made her heart lurch in a strange, aching way. Maybe that's the point, she said, to trick us into believing we're somewhere else. He smiled, slow and familiar, as if he'd heard her say those words before. You really think this place is a trick? Everything's a trick, she replied, though she wasn't sure what she meant. They watched the stars move in silence. When the narrator's voice described the Milky Way's rotation, he whispered, "You know, if the universe is infinite, maybe there's another version of us watching the same show right now." Ava's breath caught. "I used to think that," she said, "that there were other versions of me. Happier ones, braver ones. Maybe even ones who know what they're looking for." He tilted his head toward her, eyes curious. "And what are you looking for?" She laughed softly. "If I knew, I wouldn't have come here." For a while, the simulated cosmos spun around them. Planets glowed, comets streaked. Somewhere in the dark, the universe felt alive, aware. When the lights came back on, most of the audience shuffled out, blinking at the brightness. The man lingered. So did she. "I'm Eli," he said, holding out his hand. "Ava." His fingers were warm. The touch sent a ripple through her, something like déjà vu, but deeper. A recognition that made her eyes sting. "Have we met before?" she asked quietly. He hesitated. "I was going to ask you the same thing." They stepped out into the city evening, where the sky was still faintly purple. The streetlights came on one by one, like stars returning home. "You come here often?" Eli asked, half smiling. "Sometimes," Ava said, "when I want to feel small." "Or infinite," he said. Their eyes met, and for an instant, the world around them shimmered. The air pulsed, like the beat of a heart too vast to belong to either of them. Ava blinked, and the moment passed. "Strange," Eli murmured. "For a second, I thought I saw." "What?" He shook his head, smiling as if afraid to sound foolish. "Us. But somewhere else." She didn't know why, but she believed him. They stood there beneath the darkening sky, two strangers bound by a memory neither could name. Somewhere, far beyond the reach of their understanding, another universe tilted slightly, aligning just enough for them to meet again. Chapter 2. The Kingdom of Mirrors. The air shimmered like heat above water, and when it cleared, Ava stood in a marble corridor lined with mirrors. Each reflection showed a different version of herself, some younger, some older, some cloaked in armor or gold. None of them blinked when she did. Her breath fogged in the cool air. "Where am I?" A voice answered from behind her, calm but edged with command. "You are in the Hall of Reflections, my lady." She turned sharply. A man stood in silver armor, helm under his arm, eyes a storm gray that felt like déjà vu given form. He bowed low. "Forgive the intrusion. I am Sir Elian of the Northern Guard. I was sent to escort you to the Queen's chamber." "Ava," she said instinctively, though she wasn't sure why that name felt right. He looked startled. "Ava," he repeated, "that is not the name of the Oracle." "The Oracle?" "You," he said simply. "You are the Oracle of Mirrors, keeper of all worlds that might be." She stared at him, pulse fluttering. "I think there's been a mistake." Elian's expression softened. "Perhaps." And yet, he stepped closer, searching her face. "Why do I feel I've known you before?" The question stole the air from her lungs. She wanted to say, "I felt that too," but the words tangled on her tongue. He offered his hand. "Come. The Queen awaits. And these mirrors have a way of stealing pieces of those who linger." She hesitated, then took it. His touch was warm through the metal of his glove, a strange comfort in a place that felt both alien and inevitable. As they walked through corridors lit by silver torches, Ava glimpsed glimpses of another world flickering in the glass. A planetarium, stars projected on a ceiling, a man beside her whispering about infinity. The images rippled and vanished. They entered the throne room. A woman draped in obsidian silk sat upon a raised dais, her face hidden behind a mask of crystal. "So," the queen said, her voice echoing, "the oracle has returned, and with her, the knight who swore to guard her across lifetimes." Elian stiffened. "Your Majesty, I—" "Silence," the queen said, though her tone was more weary than harsh. "You both forget what has been bound by fate cannot be unmade by memory." Ava felt a tremor run through the floor. The mirrors on the walls began to shimmer, showing fragments of other worlds, cities, oceans, stars, and always them, finding one another in new forms. "What is this?" Ava whispered. The queen rose, descending the steps slowly. "Every universe remembers you, Ava of the infinite paths. You and the night are bound threads in the same tapestry. Across every mirror, you meet, and you forget, and you meet again." Ava's heart pounded. She turned to Elian, whose eyes were wide with awe and something else, fear. "Is it true?" she asked. "Have we done this before?" He reached out, as if afraid she would vanish. "If it is, then I would choose it again." The queen raised her hand, and the mirrors rippled like water. "Then choose wisely," she warned. "For every meeting carries its price." Light burst from the glass, swallowing the room in brilliance. Ava's last sight was Elian's hand reaching for hers, and the reflection of herself in the mirror, smiling as though she already knew what came next. Chapter 3: The Machine City. The rain in District 9 never stopped. It fell through the blue glow of holographic billboards, hissed against metal rooftops, and pooled in the cracks between cables that pulsed like veins. Ava adjusted the hood of her jacket as she hurried down the street, keeping her face low to avoid the security drones. Her neural interface flickered, static, then a whisper that wasn't supposed to be there. "You're late." The voice wasn't external. It came through her link, soft, amused, familiar. She froze. "Who is this?" "You know who." The whisper dissolved before she could respond, leaving only the faint hum of electricity. She touched the port at the back of her neck, heart pounding. No one should have been able to access her private channel, not without knowing her encryption key. The next moment, a door slid open across the alley. Light spilled out, blue and trembling, and a man stepped through. He wore a long coat, rain dripping from its edges, and when he pushed his hood back, she saw his face. Strong jaw, eyes the color of storms and steel. Something inside her went still. She started. "Do I know you?" He smiled faintly. "Not yet." He held up a small, glowing device. "But you left this in the network. A code signature. It matches mine." She frowned. "Impossible. My code's unique." "That's what I thought," he said, "until I saw your tag appear in my feed. The same encryption pattern. The same pulse frequency." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Like two systems designed to sync." Ava took a slow breath. "What's your name?" "Eli." She blinked. The name hit her like static against her skin, familiar, electric. "I don't know why, but that sounds right." He tilted his head, studying her. "Maybe because we've done this before." The air seemed to hum around them, the city lights flickering as if reacting to their proximity. Somewhere deep in the infrastructure, in the web of machine consciousness that powered everything, something woke. Ava rubbed her temple. "I've been having flashes. Images I can't explain. A hall of mirrors. Stars. You were there." Eli exhaled sharply. "I've seen the same things. Thought I was going insane." They stood there in the rain, surrounded by neon and noise, and for a heartbeat the world blurred, as if two realities had tried to overlay. A marble corridor, a planetarium ceiling, then only the alley again. Eli spoke first. "I think we're fragments of something larger. Two pieces trying to reconnect across systems." She gave a dry laugh. "You sound like a poet trapped in a circuit." He grinned. "Maybe I am." A sudden alarm wailed across the street. Drones swarmed overhead, scanning for unauthorized transmissions. Eli caught her wrist. "They've traced the signal," he said. "They'll be here in seconds." "What do they want?" "Us. Or rather, whatever happens when we're in the same place." The city lights surged, flaring blinding white. Ava felt her neural link spark again, not with pain but recognition. A network of infinite versions of herself, each one reaching, calling out through time and code. Eli's voice was the last thing she heard before everything dissolved into static. "Don't be afraid. I'll find you again." The world fractured. The rain froze midair, the drones vanished, and reality blinked, pixel by pixel, into darkness. Chapter 4. The Ocean Between Worlds. The sea had no horizon. It was an endless mirror, silver and soft beneath a sky the color of faded glass. Ava guided her small sailboat through the mist, the wind whispering in low, uncertain tones. She had been sailing for weeks, or maybe years. Time here didn't obey the same rules. Every night, she dreamed of someone's voice calling her name through the waves. That morning, she woke to an unfamiliar hum. A signal. She leaned over the side, scanning the shifting surface. There, far in the distance, a faint light pulsed beneath the water, rhythmic and deliberate. It almost sounded like Morse code. She whispered, "Who's there?" The light blinked once, twice. Then again, slower. A pattern she felt she should recognize, but couldn't. A voice floated over the wind. "You heard it too, didn't you?" Ava turned sharply. Another boat had appeared beside hers, carved from driftwood and metal scraps. A man stood on its deck, his clothes tattered, his hair salt-streaked from the sea. He smiled as if they were meeting for the 100th time. I was starting to think no one else made it this far. Ava gripped the edge of her boat. "Who are you?" He hesitated. "Eli, I think." The name struck her like a wave. "I've heard that before," she murmured. "In dreams, maybe." Eli nodded slowly. "Dreams are all we have out here." He gestured toward the endless water. "This world doesn't remember its land, just the sea and what we've lost to it." They drifted closer, the two boats bumping softly together. When their eyes met, something inside the ocean responded, a deep vibration that rippled outward, unsettling the calm surface. Ava felt dizzy. Images flickered behind her eyes. Rain-soaked cities, mirrors, a sky full of stars projected on a dome. She gasped. "I've seen you before." "I know," Eli said quietly. "Every time I look at the horizon, I see flashes of us in other places, other lives. But here, everything fades so quickly. The sea erases what it can't control." As if to prove him right, the light beneath the water dimmed, sinking into darkness. Ava knelt beside the edge. What if that light is the way out? He smiled sadly. Or the way back. A soft wind carried the scent of something impossible, dry earth. Both turned toward it instinctively. On the horizon, through the haze, a thin strip of color shimmered, green, like land reborn. Eli caught her gaze. "Do you trust me?" She hesitated. "I don't even know you." "You always say that," he said, smiling faintly. "And then you do." She stared at him, her pulse echoing the rhythm of the waves. Finally, she nodded. "All right, show me." They tied the boats together, letting the sails catch the same wind. As they moved toward the distant shimmer, Ava glanced back one last time. The light beneath the waves had returned, brighter now, forming shapes, symbols, maybe even letters. Two of them stood out, A and E, pulsing, merging, dissolving again. Ava whispered, "It's us." Eli looked toward the horizon. "Then maybe this time, we'll make it to shore." The mist closed behind them as they sailed toward the unknown, two souls adrift between worlds, chasing a horizon that might finally remember their names. Chapter 5. The Starship Garden. The garden smelled of stars. Ava inhaled the strange, metallic scent mixed with blooms that seemed impossible, flowers that glowed faintly, petals shimmering with iridescent light. She walked along the narrow pathway suspended above nothingness, the transparent floor revealing the void below, punctuated by distant suns and spinning planets. "Beautiful, isn't it?" She jumped slightly. A man leaned against a railing nearby, his eyes reflecting the stars outside. "Eli," she whispered, almost afraid to speak the name aloud. He tilted his head, smiling faintly. "It's strange how we keep finding each other." Ava hesitated. "Are we stuck? Or lucky?" "Maybe both," he said. He stepped closer, careful, as though the distance between them were fragile. "Or maybe we're inevitable." The air hummed with soft energy, almost as if the ship itself knew they were there. The gardens were designed to sustain life on this vessel, but it felt more like a sanctuary, or a waiting room for souls who were too stubborn to stay apart. "I don't understand," Ava said, brushing her fingers along a glowing petal. "How do we keep ending up in the same place?" Eli looked out at the infinite darkness beyond the glass. "I don't know, but I do know. In every world, there's a moment when I see you, and I can't forget." Even when I'm supposed to. Her throat tightened. You mean, even in other lives? Yes. He took her hand. It felt warm, grounding, and electric all at once. I think the universe keeps nudging us toward each other. Ava looked down at their joined hands. Do you ever wonder if it's too much? He smiled wryly. Do you ever wonder if it's ever enough? A soft chime echoed through the garden. They looked up. A projection of the ship's AI appeared, calm and ethereal. Attention, it said. The cultivation cycle requires tending. All gardeners are requested to report to their designated zones. Ava laughed softly. I don't even know how to take care of a plant, much less a starship garden. Eli shrugged. I've never been much for instructions either. He gestured at the glowing flora. Maybe we figure it out together. They walked side by side along the winding paths, touching leaves and bending stalks to inspect buds. Every movement seemed intimate, every glance charged with memory, even though neither fully remembered the other. You ever think, Ava said quietly, that maybe the ship or the universe is testing us? Eli stopped, looking at her seriously. Maybe, but I've never been afraid of a test if it means ending up with you. Ava felt warmth bloom in her chest. Even if we forget again, he nodded. Even then, I'd find you. The stars beyond the glass spun slowly, galaxies unfurling like ribbons of light. Ava imagined all the other universes, all the other selves, all the versions of them, and realized that no matter how many times the world tried to separate them, they always returned. She leaned her head against his shoulder. I like that thought. Me too, he said softly. And for a moment, the garden, the void, the infinite stars, none of it mattered. There was only this, only them. The ship drifted silently onward, carrying two hearts determined to navigate the endless cosmos, not just for survival, but for each other. Chapter 6, The Era of Gods. Lightning danced across a sky made of molten gold. Mountains floated like islands in the air, their peaks shrouded in clouds that shimmered with starlight. Ava stood at the edge of one, her robes catching fire in the golden glow, and felt the pulse of this world in her veins. You're late. A voice, deep, familiar, rumbled across the heavens. Eli emerged from a storm cloud, wings of energy unfurling behind him. Even as a god, his presence felt familiar, comforting, grounding. I could say the same to you, he replied, eyes glinting like molten silver. Ava laughed, a sound that rolled through the air like thunder. We've done this before. And yet, here we are again. Maybe some things are unavoidable, Eli said, stepping closer. His hand hovered near hers. Like you. She studied him, the way light danced along his features. Do you remember any of it? All the lives, all the worlds. He shook his head slowly. Pieces, flashes, but they all lead back to you. I always find you. Ava raised her arms, feeling the raw power of the storm swirl around her. This world, we're gods here. We could destroy it, or save it, or, she hesitated, almost afraid to say it, or be alone. Eli took her hands. Then let's not choose alone. Thunder rolled beneath them, and lightning traced patterns across the sky, a reflection of their shared histories. Even as gods, Ava said softly, we can't escape the pull of our connection. Maybe the universe wants us to learn something. Love, Eli said without hesitation. Or maybe patience, or trust, or all of it at once. She smiled. All of it at once sounds exhausting. He grinned. I wouldn't have it any other way. The clouds parted, revealing rivers of light flowing like molten silver across the sky. Ava felt the hum of the world beneath her, alive, responsive, watching. Do you think, she asked, that if we fail here, it affects the others? The other worlds? Eli's gaze held hers. Maybe. Or maybe it's the opposite. Every time we succeed, every time we remember even a little, it makes the next meeting possible. She leaned closer, the wind tugging at her robes, at her hair, at the very essence of her being. Then let's try, Eli. Let's get this right, even if it's only for a moment. He reached out, and for the first time, their fingers touched without hesitation. Sparks erupted at the contact, not just of lightning, but of shared destiny. The world around them responded. Mountains shifted, clouds danced, rivers of molten light arced higher into the sky. You feel that? Ava whispered. I feel us, he said simply. Everywhere, everywhen. And for a heartbeat, It was true. All the trials, all the universes, all the moments they had lived apart, vanished. There was only now. There was only them. Ava rested her head against his shoulder as the winds of the godly realm swirled around them. I hope, she said softly, we don't forget again. Eli kissed her forehead. Even if we do, we'll find each other. We always do. Lightning struck once more, brilliant and pure, illuminating the eternity of the sky. And in that light, two gods stood together, not ruling the world, not conquering time, but simply being, bound by something stronger than life or death, stronger than power, love that transcended every universe. Chapter 7. The City of Lost Shadows. Fog clung to the streets like a living thing. Lanterns flickered dimly, casting elongated, twisted shadows that moved as if with a mind of their own. Ava pulled her coat tighter, her boots echoing against the cobblestones. The air smelled of damp stone and secrets. A soft voice called from the alleyway. You shouldn't be here alone. She spun. A man stepped from the mist, his features sharp, eyes glinting with familiarity and something darker. Eli. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. He inclined his head. I've been tracking you. Tracking me? Ava echoed, her pulse quickening. Why? What's this place? This is the City of Lost Shadows, he said, motioning toward the narrow streets that twisted like serpents. Everyone who enters loses pieces of themselves, memories, names, even identities. But not us, not completely. We're anchored. She frowned, taking a hesitant step closer. Anchored how? Eli's gaze softened, the hardness of the city fading slightly. By each other. No matter what this place does, it can't erase us completely. I know you're here, and that's enough. Ava swallowed, looking around. Shadowy figures moved in the fog, slipping through walls and alleys as if they weren't solid. So, all those people, are they gone? Not gone, he said. Lost. And this city feeds on them, on what people forget. He extended a hand. Come with me. We can navigate it together. She hesitated, then reached for his hand. The moment their fingers touched, a faint warmth spread through her chest, like the sun breaking through the fog. As they moved through the streets, Eli whispered, You'll notice things here try to confuse you. People you know, or think you know. Memories that feel real but aren't yours. You have to trust me, trust us. Ava nodded, gripping his hand tighter. I've never needed to trust someone like this before. Eli smiled faintly. I've never needed to be trusted like this either. But somehow here it feels right. They passed under an archway, and Ava froze. A shadowy figure stood there, shaped exactly like her, pale, silent, and watching. That's me, she asked, voice trembling. Eli put a hand on her shoulder. Part of you. This city makes them mirrors of what's lost. They aren't real. They're shadows. The figure shifted slightly, then vanished into the fog. Ava exhaled shakily. This place, it's cruel. It's testing us, Eli said. To see if we remember. To see if we choose each other even when everything around us is falling apart. A sudden movement caught their attention. Shadows coalesced in the alley ahead, dark shapes that writhed and whispered. Eli stepped in front of Ava, drawing energy from the faint light around them. Stay close. Don't let the city pull you in. Ava's heart pounded. I won't. I trust you. Eli reached for her hand, and as they touched, the shadows recoiled. For a moment, the city seemed to hesitate, confused by the bond between them. You feel that? Ava asked. I do, Eli said, his voice low and steady. We're stronger together. Always. They moved deeper into the fog, hand in hand, determined to find the heart of the City of Lost Shadows, a place where perhaps the memories lost could be reclaimed. And as the mist swirled around them, Ava realized something. Even in a world designed to erase them, nothing could break the connection between them. For the first time in this dark, twisting city, she felt hope. Chapter 8. The Garden of Time. Ava stepped into the garden and immediately felt the air hum around her. The flowers didn't bloom in the normal order. Some were wilting while others were bursting open in slow motion, petals folding and unfolding like waves. The trees shifted as if their branches were stretching through centuries in a single breath. Everything here is alive with time, she murmured, running her fingers along a glimmering vine that seemed to age and rejuvenate with each touch. A voice came from behind her. And it's waiting for us. She turned to see Eli emerging from a fountain of sparkling liquid that flowed upward instead of down. He grinned, brushing a leaf from his coat. I told you we'd find each other. Time doesn't get to keep us apart. Ava smiled, though unease prickled her skin. I feel like I'm everywhere and nowhere all at once. How do we know what's real? Eli reached for her hand, and the moment their fingers touched, the garden pulsed. What feels real is us, he said softly. Everything else is just time playing tricks. They walked along a path that seemed to loop back on itself. A flower wilted, then bloomed, then wilted again. Ava stopped, staring at it. Is it the future, the past, or something else entirely? Maybe all of them, Eli said, following her gaze. Or maybe none. Here, moments aren't linear. You can see what was, what is, and what could be, all at once. Ava shivered. I don't know if I'm ready for that. To see every possible version of myself. Eli gently cupped her face. You don't have to. Not yet. You just have to trust me. A bird landed on a branch above them. But as it flapped its wings, it transformed into a younger version of itself, then older, then vanished entirely. Ava laughed nervously. Even the birds are confused. Eli smiled, letting out a small, melodic laugh. Maybe that's the point. To remind us that time isn't a cage. It's a garden, and we can walk through it together. They reached a circular clearing where a pond reflected not just the sky above, but fragments of different times. Glimpses of cities, oceans, mountains, even themselves and worlds they had already visited. Ava leaned closer to the water. Is that us? Is that really us? Eli took her hand and knelt beside her. Some of it is. Some of it could be. But right now, it's just you and me. A ripple spread through the pond, and suddenly, they saw a version of themselves from another universe, laughing, running through a field of golden light. Then another, sitting on a starship, staring at the same stars. Each reflection flickered and shifted. Ava's voice trembled. It's like, every time we meet, it leaves a mark. Even here, even now. Eli pulled her into a hug. Exactly. Every universe, every moment, it all leads us back to each other. They stood there, the garden of time swirling around them, petals folding and unfolding in slow, mesmerizing arcs. For once, Ava didn't feel disoriented or afraid. Instead, she felt infinite, like each second contained both the past they'd lost and the future they were yet to create. Eli whispered in her ear, no matter how time bends, we'll always find each other. Ava rested her head on his shoulder. Then let's keep walking, one moment at a time, together. And in the garden of time, with every second folding upon itself, Ava and Eli held on to each other, knowing that even if the universe stretched and twisted endlessly, their connection would remain eternal and unbroken. Chapter 9, The Mirror Realm. Ava stepped into a hall of glass. Endless mirrors stretched in every direction, reflecting not just her face, but countless variations of herself, laughing, crying, angry, serene. Each reflection moved independently, as if alive, whispering fragments of thoughts she didn't recognize. Eli, she called, her voice trembling slightly. This place is overwhelming. A man emerged from the shadows, walking slowly toward her. His movements were precise, deliberate, familiar yet strange. It's meant to be, Eli said, stopping a few steps away. His reflection multiplied instantly, dozens of him staring from every angle. Every mirror shows who we could be, or what we fear we might become. Ava swallowed hard, stepping cautiously. So these are real? Or just illusions? Eli shook his head. They're real in a way, but only if we let them define us. He reached for her hand. We have to trust ourselves and each other. Ava nodded and took his hand. Instantly, one of her reflections shifted, older, harsher, eyes full of regret, and reached toward her with a trembling hand. You see that? She whispered. It's me? Yes, Eli said softly. And you're not her. You're here, now with me. They walked together through the maze of mirrors. Each step caused ripples of movement. Their reflections multiplied, merged, and changed form, showing possibilities that made Ava's head spin. In one mirror, she saw herself leaving Eli behind. In another, he disappeared, fading into darkness. Ava's grip on his hand tightened. I don't want any of those possibilities, she admitted, voice quivering. I just want us. Eli smiled, a calm anchor in the dizzying reflections. Then we focus on the truth. Not the mirrors, not the illusions. Just us. Suddenly, a shadowed figure stepped between them. A perfect copy of Eli, but with eyes like cold steel. You think you can resist the mirrors? The duplicate said, voice mocking. You will lose him. You will lose her. You cannot escape your own fears. Ava pulled back, shaking. But he's not you. You're not real. Real enough to test us, the figure hissed. Real enough to make you question everything. Eli stepped forward, his voice steady. She will not lose herself, and I will not lose her. We're stronger than illusions. He reached out, touching her reflection in a nearby mirror. The glass rippled like water, and the shadowy duplicate recoiled. Ava's courage surged. She touched Eli's hand, feeling warmth, grounding herself in the moment. We are who we are. Not them. Not the mirrors. Us. The mirrors trembled and shook, fragments of their fears dissolving into nothing. The reflections that had tormented them shimmered and vanished, leaving only their true forms. Ava and Eli, hand in hand, standing in the center of the hall. Eli pulled her close. Every universe, every test, it leads here. To this moment. To each other. Ava leaned into him, exhaling shakily, but with relief. I thought I might get lost in myself. But I didn't. I had you. He kissed her forehead gently. And I had you. The mirrors dimmed and melted away, leaving the hall empty, silent, and infinite. For the first time, Ava realized that their connection was stronger than doubt, stronger than fear, stronger than any illusion the universe could conjure. We're ready, Eli said, glancing toward the faint light at the far end of the hall. Ready for the final whirl. Ava nodded, squeezing his hand. Together. And with that, they stepped forward into the unknown, confident that whatever awaited them, they would face it as one. Chapter 10. The Universe Between Us. The air shimmered around them, neither solid nor empty. Ava took a cautious step forward and felt the pull of countless worlds beneath her feet. The starship, the golden sky of the gods, the shadowed streets, and the fluid garden of time. It was as if all the universes they had visited existed at once, layered on top of each other. And yet, in the center, there was only space for them. Is this real? Ava whispered, reaching for Eli. He smiled, warmth radiating through the infinite expanse. As real as us. Everything we've been through, every universe, it all led here. This is the one that matters most. Ava looked around. She could see fragments of their past meetings flickering like distant stars, shadows of their laughter in the gardens, reflections in mirrors, the glow of the starship's lights. She felt tears prick her eyes. We've been everywhere, haven't we? And yet, I feel like we've just arrived. Eli took her hands in his, holding them gently but firmly. That's because we have. All those places were practice, a way for us to find the universe we belong to, together. She shook her head in disbelief. But why? Why does it have to be so complicated? Because love worth having, Eli said softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face, is never simple. But it's always worth it. No matter how many worlds we have to cross, or how many versions of ourselves we have to meet, we find each other. Every single time. Ava laughed softly, a sound full of wonder. Do you ever get tired of finding me? Eli chuckled. Not once. Even if I did, I wouldn't stop. Because he gestured to the universe stretching infinitely around them. This is us. You and me, everything between us. Ava swallowed, overwhelmed by the magnitude of it. All these worlds, all these chances, and we always return to each other. It's beautiful. And terrifying, Eli added with a grin. Don't forget the terrifying part. Ava laughed, leaning against him. I'll take terrifying if it comes with you. The space around them pulsed, as if the universe itself was acknowledging their bond. Light from each universe flickered and converged, forming a swirling pathway beneath their feet. I think, Ava began, her voice trembling with awe. This is where we choose. Where we decide if we stay together, no matter what. Eli held her close, forehead against hers. I don't need to decide. I choose you, now and always. Tears slipped down her cheeks as she whispered back, I choose you too. Always. The light swirled faster, carrying them gently upward. In every direction, they saw echoes of the lives they had shared. The starship garden, the golden godly sky, the shadows in the lost city, and the folding moments of time. But none of them felt distant or strange anymore. All of them were pieces of the same story, their story. Eli tilted his head, eyes shining. No matter what comes next, we face it together. One universe or 1,000. Ava smiled, feeling warmth spread through her chest that eclipsed the infinite cosmos surrounding them. Together, hand in hand, they stepped forward into the light, leaving behind all doubts, all fears, all versions of themselves that had tried to pull them apart. For the first time, they weren't meeting in another universe. They were finally in the universe that mattered most, the one they had built together. And in that infinite, quiet space, they understood the truth. Love isn't bound by time, or space, or even reality itself. It's in the moments, the choices, and the unwavering promise to find each other, again and again. Ava rested her head on Eli's shoulder. It feels like home. Eli kissed the top of her head. It is home, wherever we are, as long as it's with you. Around them, the universe shimmered with every possibility, every world, every memory they had shared. But in the center, there was only one reality that truly mattered: their love. And finally, for the first time, it could exist without fear, without trials, without distance. The universe between them had vanished, leaving only them.